Welcome back, everybody. I am your host, Johnny Gomes, two-time World Series champ. And of course, I am joined by the founder of S2 Cognition, Scott. And I tell you what, fans, do we have some clips for you. Today, we're going to be on the baseball diamond. We are going to be on the golf course. And the last video is going to surprise us all. I'm really excited about it. And I'd love to hear Scott's opinion on what we're going to see for the third video. Okay, folks, let's kick it off right here. Scott, you ready? We are going to jump right into Major League Baseball. Guess who we have out in right field? That's George Springer, leaving his feet, going towards the line about 5 to 10 feet away from the wall, right? Leaving his feet, running sideways to his left glove side. The ball's probably coming at anywhere between 95 and 100 miles per hour. Full extension right there. That is the pitcher's best friend.
Unbelievable catch. I mean, you could watch this without knowing anything about the cognitive aspect and just say physically and athletically, few people can do what he just did.
Yeah, few people can do what he did right there. And, right fielders maybe aren't really known for this, although he does play a little bit of center too. But what I think is unique about this is you don't practice this, right? You'll end up getting hurt, right? You don't want to be doing this too many times. It's a feat that sometimes is asked nightly, but yet you don't practice it.
There is an instant there where he has to decide, am I close enough to stay upright? Or am I going to have to do something different? Am I going to have to improvise to make this catch? And I mean, this is unbelievable. If you watch his head and his eyes, he's not even looking at the ball at the time it hits his glove. Look, his head went down a little bit and he is predicting where that ball is going to be, and he puts his glove out in space without even looking at that point in space. But he had to improvise at this last split second. And that improvisation happens in a few tens of milliseconds. There's a moment where you recognize, I'm not going to be able to make this play, and you have got to redirect and make an adjustment to your body. You've got to physically be able to do this. I know we've talked about that before, but that decision in that moment to reach back and dive and put the glove to a predicted point in space, this is cognition at its best right here.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like before the ball ends up in his glove, he's looking down on the ground for injury prevention, right? Of you got to brace your fall. So he's almost looking to brace his fall with his right arm coming in to give him a little spring before the out is even made. He's ahead of the curve.
Yeah, when if you think about it, when you catch most balls, you are not watching the ball hit the glove. I mean, you have this feel, this somatosensory ability, this proprioceptive, we call it, these big terms that describe just your awareness of where your body is in space relative to a moving object. And so typically when you catch a ball, you're not having to watch the ball hit the glove. You're just moving the glove to a spot. And it's just unbelievable what he does here. You're right. He looks down, takes his eyes off the ball, but he still has this awareness of where to put the glove to snag it. It's unreal.
Yeah, and where to brace his fall. It's not like in the post-game interview, he's like, yeah, me and the outfield coach were out there working on this today, right? Like, this isn't a skill you work on. You either have it or you don't. You make a play like this, you catch it, nothing hurts. You miss it, everything hurts.
Yeah, that is a phenomenon we have to break down sometime again. That is true, right?
Yeah.
Right? Everything feels better when you make the play.
Yeah. Well, George Springer, thank you for that. That was awesome. And here we are on the golf course, the Women's U.S. Open. Andrea Lee from the bunker to rack up an eagle right here. Go and practice this shot and tell me if you can get this down. Out of the sand for an eagle. Scott, I tell you what, man, there's a lot of golfers out there, and there's a lot of golfers out there, trying to up their game. I know you guys at S2 are really diving into golf. What are some of the things that you're finding maybe from the elite athlete? And then again, all the way down to the amateur level, the guy that just likes to get out there on the weekends and not embarrass himself.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And yes, we're having a lot of energy and excitement in golf. Obviously, our evaluation for golfers is very different than, say, for hitters in the batter's box where the ball's moving and you have to react in, sub 400 millisecond time frames. In golf, you're in control of the initiation of the movements. Obviously, things like focus, your ability to repeat your rhythms, your ability to pick up the subtle tendencies, the way the course is playing. There's a lot of very specific skills related to how golfers process the visual scene. And so things like angles and how you build complex angle structures to predict where a ball's going to break and move on the putting green, for example, or building that mental image of that shot shape that kind of guides the configuration of your motor system. I mean, golf is one of those tinkering sports, just like hitters, right? If you're struggling or you're having a slump, you tend to go back to your mechanics. And every golfer we meet says, I spend an inordinate amount of time on my mechanics. And it may not be the mechanics at all. I mean, sometimes it is, obviously, but a lot of it is how you are processing and taking in information and regulating, controlling, and freeing your motor system from being overly controlled sometimes as a golfer, overthinking things. And so our evaluation for golf allows the golfer to look at this facet and aspect of golf play. And that is, how do you take in information? How are you setting up from a visual and a processing and from a memory standpoint, the shot itself? And then how do you regulate your action and your repeatability of your movements from a brain standpoint? It's a key piece of the puzzle. You need to have the mechanics and the physical, but if you leave this out, you may tinker forever and still never achieve success.
Yeah, there's all kinds of gadgets to help you out in golf ball, whether it's keeping your knee in or keeping your shoulder in, your head down, all the stuff. But sometimes you just got to check on the old nugget too, every once in a while. So that's really cool that S2 Cognition's diving into golf. And yes, we're checking this sport out for the first time. Professional bull riding, going against the #1 bull in the world. And you don't get this name on accident. The bull's name is the Man-Hater. I do have a horse in the race for this because I have been on the back of a bull before.
Have you really?
Yes, I have.
Oh.
And let me tell you something, for the first time I got on that and you straddle that thing, it's a heartbeat that you've never felt in your life. You never have felt so small and so powerless. This isn't just a caveman sport, man. I mean, these guys, there's a lot going on. And to predict where the bull is gonna go, right, is gonna determine which way you wanna lean and where your arm goes up.
Hey, you said something a little bit ago that I think is really interesting from a cognitive standpoint, because you said you're trying to anticipate where the movement is going. And so there's a visual, there's a feel, a physical feel, tension, there's the directional movement of the bull. If you can anticipate where the bull's moving, you're in a better position to adjust your body and your reaction. There's some unpredictability there, which means that stresses your system to be able to react when things happen unpredictably. And that's where I suspect most riders get bucked, is when the unexpected happens and your body's out of position. You can't counter-react fast enough.
I mean, the best in the world are riding this thing for 8 seconds. Right? I mean, the 8 seconds flies by. I'm sure it seems like an eternity when you're on the back of that thing. But the other thing is you watch his head and how his head is moving, but it seems like he's just focusing right on the back of the bull's head, right? To kind of just keep his sights right there my gosh, how hard does that look? But he looks pretty locked in, staring right at the back of his head.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have, and that would be a great question to ask. I mean, I think you're right. The head kind of leads the body, although sometimes that head, the body looks like it's going the opposite. But it'd be interesting to ask these bull riders, what visual cues do you focus on and anchor on? We kind of capture it and measure it as your ability to improvise. And, things don't always go your way or the way you're expecting, and your brain has to rapidly make a counter reaction decision. Now, you physically got to be able to execute it, but it's that decision point that is so critical. And there's no question bull riders are, they've got to be elite in their ability to make these quick counter reactive decisions. With your experience, did they tell you to focus on the head?
Yeah, they told me to focus on his head, but it was interesting. Like, the guy there, he kind of gave me a scouting report of what he thought the bull was going to do, which I thought was pretty, unique. He's like, all right, he's going to go out, he's going to jump, spin left, jump, and spin again. I didn't make it to the last spin, but he was pretty right on. I was like, wow, there's like scouting reports on these bulls of what they're going to do and anticipate, but
it depends.
Still, man,
depend on which part of his goods they stimulate before they kick him out of the gate.
Yeah, he does not look like he's in a good mood.
Hey, you kind of you stole the thunder. I was going to say, did you make it the 8 seconds?
Oh gosh, no. It felt like 5 minutes when I was on that thing, but yeah, I might have topped 4 or 5 seconds. I didn't get to ring the bell for 8. But yeah, man, these guys are elite athletes. They
absolutely are.
Talk about
we probably need to give a shout out though to the guys that are out there that are trying to distract the bull once he falls off. Sometimes in some pretty interesting costumes, the clowns and but their ability to move and juke and read, and they're sitting goats too.
Yeah, watching this doesn't really get my blood flow to do it again, but I definitely tip my hat to these guys. It's fun to watch.
That's awesome.
Well, all right, Scott, if that didn't get your blood flowing, I don't know what will. We had a little baseball, little golf, and wrapped it up with some professional bull riding. I do appreciate how you're able to break it down from the cognitive side of things, getting into the brain of some of these athletes. Really cool and really unique. I think the golfers are really going to eat up a lot of that stuff. I don't know how many people are going to go out and dive for a baseball or ride a bull. But s2cognition.com, check it out for what it can do for your golf game. Go ahead and smash that like and subscribe button if you like this content. We got all kinds of this content coming your way. Give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We'll be doing this again. That way the content can land right in your inbox. And we'll get back and do this again.